I did circumnavigate Raasay and Rona on my second attempt, which was the day following my aborted attempt. This time I also went to Longay and Pabay before going under the Skye Bridge, then returning to Strelamus, a distance of around 70 miles. I awoke to a flat, calm, overcast but warm morning. The forecast was for winds not exceeding 6 miles per hour, and there was little difference between the forecasted wind speed and gust speed, which is important on such a long and exposed journey in a small 9-foot boat. The following day was also forecast for fine weather, which gave me confidence that if the wind did rise I could land and hopefully sit it out until it dropped again. From experience I know that the winds are mostly light early morning or in the evening, with perhaps a breeze getting up at the turn of the tide. The world reflected almost flawlessly in the still silver sea, villages floating peacefully past as hills quivered in the wee boat's wake. Both the incoming tide and the 6-horsepower outboard carried me smoothly northwards. This time, because it was such a lovely calm morning, I headed through the Culmore Channel between Scalpay and Raasay to explore the eastern coast of Raasay. I was looking forward to seeing this remote coast, and as I rounded the headland at Rubin-a-Lech, 2 sea eagles rose from the cliffs and toured the bay. I didn't have a zoom lens, so they appear as only small dots in the photo, but they're always a thrill to see in real life. Beneath the distinctive dome shape of Duncan, a cool waterfall fell 100 feet into the sea. I considered stopping the stony shore beside it to soak in the serene scene, but as I had a long way to go, decided to continue on my way. Approaching Brochel, where there is the ruins of an ancient castle beside the only visible cottage on this side of Raasay, a couple of common dolphins broke the surface, but they had no interest in me and headed out for open sea. 5 miles away across a flat water surface, the Applecross Peninsula on mainland Scotland shimmered in the grey and silver seascape. Closer at hand, the Raasay coastline now turned to a featureless low-rock landscape, with nowhere to land should the unthinkable happen. I started to feel the complete isolation and extreme remoteness of the area. A gentle but steady swell started rolling in from the open sea and started to bob the boat. I felt almost in a dream, hypnotised by its calming rhythmic motion. The dulcet drone of a small four-stroke outboard was the only sound in my ears as I skimmed across the smooth surface. I was surrounded by a huge sea and sky and a thin ribbon of rock. It's a strange feeling being in such a huge space in such a tiny 9-foot boat. Passing the channel between Raasay and Rona, I now felt very vulnerable, knowing that not only my journey, but possibly my very life depended on the wind, waves and sea remaining calm. The feeling I felt was similar to the feeling I used to experience climbing cliff faces. I knew I was in control, but things could change in an instant if I started finding loose handholds. Adrenaline was pumping through my blood, but I also knew this was why I was there. I live for the challenge, the exposure, the remoteness of such places. For me, this is what boating is all about. Having reached the northern tip of Rona, I knew I was now at the very crux of my journey. There are a lot of rocks and reefs at the top, and in those days I did not carry a depth sounder on the boat. I cautiously eased around the top of the island, constantly scanning below the boat for signs of shallow rocks. The swell was over 1 metre high, so the last thing I wanted was for it to drop the prop on a submerged reef, as I knew that would give me a lot of grief, stuck in the middle of nowhere. Mainland Scotland was 5 miles to the east of me, Skye was 6 miles to the west, and Iceland was God only knows how many miles to the north. So a huge wave of satisfaction swamped my mind as I successfully rounded Rona and started heading downhill again, towards the sound of Raasay. The west side of Rona did not feel quite as exposed as its eastern side, perhaps because I was heading for the safe haven of Rona Harbour. When I landed, I was immediately greeted by the Laird of Rona, who, true to his reputation, wanted some money to visit his island. As I'm a stingy Scot, I gave him nothing but a dirty look, and then sat in my boat and scoffed my lunch. I was certainly not entertaining his wants. However, he appeared to cheer up when the tour boat dropped off several paying guests to his island. After a short rest, I then headed back to sea, heading for the cheap and cheerful sound of Raasay. Having sat in the wee boat for well over 4 hours, I was now in need of a leg stretch, so pulled into a lovely stony cove in Raasay, and while walking in the warm sun came across the bleached bones of a whale. Delighted with my find, I kept the jawbone and vertebrae, and they now have pride of place in my garden as a lasting memory of my trip to Rona. Exercised and with a boat full of bleached bones, I zipped down the sound of Raasay and out through the Colmore Channel again, passing a becalmed yacht which was not going anywhere on such a perfect day. I was now heading for the island of Longay, where I paused on its stony shore for a quick photo or two. I always like to land and set foot on any sizable island I pass, just to say I have been there and worn the t-shirt. Not that there was much to see in Longay, so I didn't stay long before heading for Pabay. Initially I bypassed the island of Pabay and headed for the Skye Bridge, which I just had to pass under and have a look in Loch Alsh. Having seen enough of the Kyles of Lachaush, I then headed back to Pabby and landed in a little pier for a look around. Although Pabby is a lovely island, it's not really the kind of place to send a postcard from. And the island should be approached with great care as it is surrounded by rocky reefs which are hidden at high tide. Having spent the day at sea, I was now all boated out, so headed back to Strelamus. Another fantastic day done. Thanks for watching and do stay safe.